Friends, in his famous speech that inspired hundreds of thousands, Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have a dream. He said it with emotion, with conviction, and with purpose. He did not say, I have a strategic plan. If he had, it probably would have moved people, away from him and not moved in the same way as when he said, I have a dream. Manifestos are not dreams. They are strategized plans that are implemented. Manifestos are used by the political parties, clubs, organizations, and even individuals to create action. And it's a public declaration or statement of ideas and intentions. In today's episode, friends, let's see the mechanics and dynamics of manifesto creation. Some outrageous ideas and convoluted intentions have been bandied in the past by almost all the political parties as actionable. Many end up not implementable and hence not implemented. To be serious, is it time they also mentioned an implementable timeline for every actionable item? The recent high stakes elections in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh have thrown up some new politicians and ended careers for some. Big data analytics used by all the major parties will certainly provide many pointers. However, simple worldly electoral wisdom with nose firmly on the ground probably did the trick for BJP in Gujarat and only partly for the Indian National Congress though they won the majority. Manifestos provide a compendium of valid party positions, streamline the campaign, and are used as campaign material. These days, the stylized version of party democratics or party democracy puts great emphasis on parties' policies, their programs, and so on. They structure the campaign, voters' choices, party coalitions, and government policies. Parties then fight elections with a team of leaders rallying behind their manifesto. The victorious party then takes the government office and implements its policy program. On the other hand, coalition governments work on compromises. Very soon, voters will not only judge parties according to their policies and programs for the next term in office, but also retrospectively focusing on the government's performance and scrutinizing if the parties have kept their promises. Gujarat has been a classic example, and the people believed that the promises were kept, and therefore they voted BJP. An intelligent manifesto must be meaningful, be concise, and build consensus. This calls for a larger public good, completely devoid of parochial or contrived political interests. What then is an ideal manifesto? Can a religious twist do the, talking? Can an ideological spin do the job? Can some statements, sway the public? Can freebies make a difference? Can global worries passed off as local irritants help? They are all important. All those and many more will play the story. When every party is in an overdrive to be on the right side of gods, Should a manifesto build temples, mosques, churches, synagogues, or even fire temples, so to say, just to be on everyone's side? Will job creation, jobs to everyone, development, defense, infrastructure, and farmer crisis be important? What is the value proposition of these in an emotionally charged environment? So the boundary conditions must be properly studied. For a start, education and employment generation must be prime in a manifesto. New markets must be created, for the traditional ones are getting saturated and are only growing nominally. A long-term skill strategy encouraging people to study part-time, acquire new skills, and support their studies with innovative financial models, all those must be thought of. There has been a serious drop in the number of part-time and mature learners, and that represents a tragedy of lost opportunity for tens of thousands of would-be students. We cannot allow lifelong learning to become a phrase to capture political aspirations. The soon-to-be set up digital university would probably be the answer to continuous adult education. Skills must be institutionalized in our schools. The funding in higher education has been, going down over the years, and there must be a commitment to increase base rate funding per student in the next budget to at least match inflationary costs. The unholy race with global institutes to public research papers to all that must be discouraged. Instead, the higher education institutions must be funded on their initiatives of new job creation and their ability to add wealth to the national GDP. Every kilometer, new highway being built, must build a concept of highway angels, which not only mitigate the agony for accident victims, but create at least 10 new jobs. A new scheme must be explored where the employer may be incentivized for every 100 additional jobs that he creates in terms of handsome tax rebates. The loss of revenue can always be compensated by a larger tax base. A conscious effort must be made to breach and raise the boundaries of the organized sector. Political parties must be bold enough to curb the freebie culture. Our PM spoke about it, and very, very timely. Every citizen must earn his or her bread, and the manifesto must provide the tools to do so. 95% of the richest, are with a little more than 1% of the people. Our manifesto must be honest enough to change the arithmetic, not by robbing Peter to pay Paul, but by more equitable tax structures. Social bonds explored to meet these contingencies must replace the so-called loan culture. A concept of social corpus must be created to bring little cheer to the most deprived. It is necessary that order is brought into our overburdened and overworking support systems, be it our courts, our police, our intelligence agencies, or our banking systems. The manifestos must protect their autonomy proactively so that the justice dispensing systems are not derailed. Our farmers have been at loggerheads for long with the powers that be. Waiving of loans can at best be a short-term means of placating but is never viable. Hence, can a manifesto now talk about actively engaging farmers through a farmer card that tracks his lifestyle and alerts the systems, to provide the requisite support when it is needed. This must include well-being of his entire family, not just the farmer. The banking systems need a complete overhaul. Are our political parties willing to take the bull by the horn? The mighty may fall on a sustained effort. Instead of trading charges as to who created NPAs or whatever, can their manifestos actually create and strengthen Lok Adalats, debt recovery tribunals, asset recovery agencies, corporate debt restructuring processes, and asset management companies? All very, very important. There's a huge difference between the state and the central implementation of projects, proposals, and so on. And their mechanisms for the schemes that are floated, they are also different. So can a manifesto commit to similar implementation, at least in states where the party is the same in power? Several welfare schemes like the healthcare and housing need a new thinking for implementation. Friends, in a country where adrenaline can rise on emotions that have nothing to do with roti, kapda, or makan, is it time that parties are forced to declare two manifestos? One religious and the other on action and welfare. On a different note, can we sue the political parties for reneging on their manifestos? Can they be disqualified for one session if it is proved to be true? Political parties also must be made accountable to what is preached, albeit through a manifesto. With that, friends, I end this Sunday Western episode and hope that I have given something for the weekend to chew about. Until we meet the next Saturday, Dhanyavad, thank you, and Namaskar.